there's a mum, she's holding a baby and she's running up the stairs and she's got like a little 4-year-old, and the 4-year-old's running and the 4-year-old runs onto the tube, like gets onto the train, and the door's shut before the mum and baby can get on. And so everyone's like banging, like he starts banging on the door in the hope that they will open. The doors don't open, and he turns around and just starts screaming, right? And he's brown, I'm brown. So there's like a few of us, but obviously I get up, I'm like, it's okay, don't worry. But a few people get up, but he chooses me, and I think because I'm brown. And then he just like holds onto my leg and cries into my leg, and I'm like, and everyone is losing their shit as well. They're like, we need to pull the alarm, we need to ring the police, we need to like ring the kids' school. I'm like, we're not going to do any of that. We're just going to get off at the next station, and then mum will be on the train behind. I'm sure she's like, that's like the rule in London, right? You just get on the train and go to the next stop, right? So we do that. We get off at the next stop. The kid is still crying, and he hasn't said a word at this point. He's still just holding onto my leg. I get off, a couple of other people get off, and then on the next tube, mum's there with the baby, and she gets off, and she gives me a hug or whatever. We have a little chat, and then we all get on the tube, and we continue with our day. Then at around like 4 p.m, I'm like, I really want McDonald's. So I go to McDonald's with my colleague, and we're in the queue, and this little boy just runs up to me and hugs my leg, and I'm like, what? And I look down, and it's the same boy from the morning, and then they bought me my McDonald's. And I was like, this is a beautiful synchronicity. It's like a beautiful loop.
Yeah.
Like a beautiful closed circle, right?
Yeah.
And it's amazing that all I really wanted from karma for being a good guy earlier was the McDonald's. Yeah. Like, it's just really beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was a nice synchronicity.
No, but I also find it's quite fascinating that karma is so capitalistic and and just loves McDonald's. Like, I always thought, like, karma, you know, when you think about karma, like, as maybe a Hindu god or something, they're organic. And you know, they grow like
they grow their own vegetables.
In the garden. But actually, they just want apple pie from McDonald's.
It's a McFlurry, obviously.
McFlurry.
Yeah.
Oh, really? For me, it's just that my
your grandma loves apple pie.
Yeah,
exactly.
The god of karma just looks like my grandma.
Yeah.
She loves apple pie.
Okay, so what about in terms of telepathy? Like, you know, with that woman that was psychic.
Yeah, so I don't know. Do you believe in psych?
Do I believe in psychic? I think I do believe that, you know, we can read a lot of things into someone's psyche. I don't know if I can push myself to believe enough that you can actually interpret people's thoughts.
So do you think it's like picking up on facial cues, like subconsciously picking up on facial cues?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so.
So there's this, I was quite into...
Which is like impressive in itself.
Yeah, which is
real talent,
Yeah, okay, but no, there's one is like consciously picking up on facial cues, and the other thing is subconsciously. So like, I can tell that you're sad, but I'm not looking necessarily...
For the reason why you're sad.
I'm not deconstructing your face to say you're sad, but subconsciously I notice all the signs that on your face that show that I'm sad.
Yeah.
And then just taking that to another level.
Yeah, and it's that other level, which I don't think I would call psychic.
Yeah, you wouldn't call psychic. Well, so there's a theory. So there's, I was quite into this, reading a lot about like morphic resonance.
Yeah.
And
what's morphic resonance?
It's like this field of science called Noetics.
Okay.
And basically, I think this is a lot. The guy I was reading is a guy called Rupert Sheldrake, and he believes like that space has memory.
No way. So like the space that I'm in right now.
Yeah. Pretty much. And basically, so the idea is that your mind, instead of being like an entity that lives within your brain, it's actually like an energetic field. And so the center may be within us. We don't know exactly where, maybe in our knee or maybe in our, maybe in our brain. But like our field emanates. So let's say the circle around, so the field is in the center of me, and then there's a circle that emanates like this. Yeah. And then you have your center in you, and then there's a field that emanates like this. And where our fields...
But it emanates like outside of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And so where our fields interlink, cross over, that's the space in which telepathy can occur, right? So it's overlapping of mind spaces, mind fields, right? And when these come into contact, then there's potential for telepathic interaction. And then there's something else called quantum entanglement, which is basically when you spend enough time with these people, with the same person, then the energy fields become interlinked and bound to each other. So then, when separated, there's actually an entanglement of the fields.
So I think that I could accept that because that entanglement, it does lead to a lot of people who are in relationships or deep friendships thinking the same way about things, being able to read each other's minds or like knowing what they're going to say before they've said it.
Yeah. Well, there's also,
I don't know how much I feel about the field.
You know how what are the birds? The larks? Where they swarm in like...
in the same shapes,
in the same shapes.
Yeah.
And they're always moving. They never hit each other.
Yeah.
They're always moving in synchronicity with
each other. Yeah.
So this is like this is a sort of theory that can explain that. Or which, people have, ascribed to that.
Yeah.
As, like,
do you ascribe to this? Does this resonate with you?
I like it as an idea. It's I think it makes sense as much as anything else. Right? I got no reason. I like to believe in it, but I don't really
have a reason to believe in it. But do you believe in telepathy then?
So
have you experienced telepathy?
I basically started. So I started to meditate when I developed a whole philosophical system a while ago, which is based on this idea of everything being permeable.
Yeah.
Right. All boundaries being permeable, and I started developing a meditation on that, in which I sort of meditated on the permeability of my skin, of my body, and so the way I used to deal with anxiety or any issues is that I would sort of begin to consider my mind as not within myself, but as permeable, and that the thoughts don't exist within the head, but they exist in this kind of moving in and out sphere. So the thoughts don't actually belong to me. They just come in and then they just dissipate out.
Did that help with your anxiety?
Yeah. This was like a real huge path towards just a sense of freedom. And I would do it with my body as well to feel more connected to my environment. And I felt like I didn't feel like... Because when I was sick, I had a lot of physical constraints. And then when you feel your body is bound to the environment, your physical constraints don't really mean much.
No.
Right? Because you've become, to some degree, limitless. Like, not limitless, but like, you're not as confined or associated with your physiology. And so from a mental perspective, it's the same sort of thing, because if you're having so much worry or anxiety, then you're not.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think a lot of people do this, don't they? But maybe they don't dress it up in such a beautiful way or talk about the thoughts being in a different field.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people are do flick away bad thoughts, like we talked about earlier. Or these thoughts have just come in and then we try and get rid of them.
Yeah, but I think it's in a different way, because you're still identifying with the thought, but you're just sort of throwing it away or suppressing it. Whereas this is kind of saying that the thoughts don't belong to you, that they just flow in and out.
They're just flowing out. But then do you do that with non-anxious thoughts, like with all of your good thoughts as well? Like, they don't belong to you either.
I don't know if I do them as much anymore. But
because do no thoughts belong to you? Like, is that the point of the theory?
Yeah.
Or it's only the bad thoughts that don't belong to you?
Well, it's the same with everything. We do it for the bad, but you kind of got to accept.
You've got to accept it with the good, right?
Yeah. The totality of it.
That's an interesting way to live your life, though, if you think that none of your thoughts are actually yours.
Yeah, well, there's... Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's for me now that you're saying it, it sounds strange to think that you possess your thought. That's for me a very strange idea, to actually think that you are...
And maybe the fact that we're so open to so many theories is based on the fact that we don't possess our thoughts.
Maybe.
Like, we don't hold any thought to be more important than another.
So does this resonate with you? Like, as a...
Yeah, I think maybe it does resonate with me. Maybe it's something I've always done, but subconsciously. I don't really hold any thoughts to be more important than any others.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not that I don't, but I think I do hold some thoughts to be higher than others. But I mean, what I was saying
the thought with your own system.
Yeah. This is
that's exactly. Your own thought. You hold it to be much higher. And maybe the reason I can accept it as a thought is because I don't have a system that I ascribe to.
Yeah, but I'm quite easy to accept. I can accept the antithesis of that system. I can accept pretty much anything. I maybe won't build it into my life.
Yeah.
But I'm quite.
Yeah, but isn't that what acceptance is, though?
Yeah. well,
Do you like it?
I guess, but like I'm open to that being a reality. It's just not necessarily the reality.
So if you believe in that system, though, does that mean some of my thoughts can enter you?
Yeah. So the reason
Is that
the reason I
telepathy?
said
Is
that
that
is
telepathy?
because yeah. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
In terms of that's why I really did connect a lot with this theory of morphic resonance.
Yeah.
Because it did seem to conflate with this idea, and the more I looked at things, the more I saw that everything was permeable, and we're just creating impermeability. Like we're just blocking things. We're blocking the porousness of things in order to organize it. Because it's really hard when everything just like fucking like flies everywhere. And
Yeah.
And like when space is so integrated with matter, it's really hard to put like, find where to put your table in your room. Right?
Yeah.
So
that's interesting though, that like
huge,
so as we age, do our field become bigger?
Okay.
Or is that governed by the soul, or is that
Yeah, I don't know. I think definitely everybody has different
like fields, right?
Yeah,
and different centers and different sizes. Yeah.
Like in Indian philosophy, there's the chakras.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's
maybe it's loosely
just like quite similar sort of idea.
Yeah.
That this is maybe just focused on the mind chakra.
Yeah, but I do think it's a fascinating theory.
Yeah.
And maybe but there are always those people that seem to dominate a room. The moment they walk in, seem to dominate the room, take over the conversation.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely people certain people have very different presences.
Yeah, and maybe that's to do with the field that they're giving off in the center.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. So I feel like that's a separate issue. One is, which I can get on board with, like pretty for sure. I think everybody has an energy.
Yeah.
And they emanate some form of energy.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily mean there has to be a soul, but that there is a kind of a presence that people kind of
give off, right?
Give off. And whether the mind itself is a kind of neurological box within the brain or an energetic field in some place within, like centered within the self, I don't really know.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. There does seem to be nobody really knows where the mind, like we just assume the mind is in the brain, but there's nothing that really correlates. We talk like
but I think the idea of the mind not being in the brain
is absurd.
That is, it's definitely absurd.
Yeah.
If you were to start telling people that your mind is in your knee, that is absurd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially the left knee, right?
Yeah. But also that leads to different things regarding like disabilities. What if you're paralyzed from like the waist down? Like, do you still have access to your mind if it's in your knee? Like, I think just the idea of the mind not being in the brain is pretty. But okay,
so from your special needs guys, right? So their sort of neurological capabilities are less than the normal, right?
Yeah.
But does that mean they have like their minds are still just as powerful or as strong as anybody else's, right?
Yeah, it's really interesting actually. It's really fascinating because I do often wonder about their fields, and because there's sometimes when I feel like there's a bit of telepathy when I'm interacting with them. But maybe it's just because I know them so well, I can predict how they'll react to a situation. But is that telepathy? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it's hard to say because also when like this theory of quantum entanglement means that sort of telepathy occurs once you know somebody better.
Once you know somebody better, right? And I think we would all agree with that, though. Once you know somebody better, you can predict a lot more things about them, can't you?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So this, the experiments that they did for this were basically, there's so many variables you can't say everything.
Yeah. What's your control? Yeah.
The idea is, so what they did is they got a group of rats.
Yeah.
And they taught I think it was in Germany or something, Belgium or.
Yeah.
And they taught them a certain technique, right? Of something. Which is, I can't remember exactly what it was, but they taught them to do something which is not, common to rats.
Yeah, okay.
Right? But it's easy for them to learn.
Yeah.
Right? And
then... You're missing the key point of this.
Oh, shit. Yeah, but we're not a precise podcast.
Yeah, that's
Nobody's going to quote us in anything.
We're not scientists. Yeah, exactly.
It's like, but maybe we should be if I'm trying to prove.
Yeah. If you're trying to prove such a ridiculous theory.
There's another group of rats in like Australia, And 6 months, or maybe it was 3 months, after teaching this one group of rats this behavior, this group of rats learned the same thing.
But they were in a separate cage.